Have you recently over-egged a pudding? Have you physically over-egged a pudding?
No, I've never done that because I always follow the instructions of the recipe.
Right.
I'm not a baking maverick. I'm not like Mary Berry who's nuts with a bottle of vanilla. We'll just...
Oh, yes, here we are. It says 2 teaspoonsful, but I bosh it in.
She's like that.
She's a very
She's a
accurate
monster.
expression.
It says just a tiny knob of butter. I say, massive knob of butter, whack it in there.
That's what she's like.
It's exactly...
But you've baked with her.
I have baked with it, yeah.
She's nuts.
Yeah.
She's off the chart.
If you disagree with it, rolling pin.
Oh,
Across the
God.
temples.
Through a patio door once. Saw her chuck a cameraman through a patio door. Anyway... Oh God, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Luke, we're looking for your optimum temperature, brackets indoors, and also alliterative listeners. I think we're getting there with our spreadsheet of alliterative listeners. Tony in Thelwall checking in, brackets, I actually live in Grappenhall, but it's really close to Thelwall. No! We've got to have parameters, we've got to have rules, Tony. If you were Greg from Grappenhall, it would be fine. And Hannah in Leeds says I like my indoor temperature between 18 and 18.5 degrees C, but my husband likes it at 17 or 17 and a half. It's a whole degree difference, like a whole world of difference. Our cat prefers it warmer, so I usually win the argument.
I quite enjoy, there's a well-known heating app on your phone.
I've got one of them.
Is surreptitiously going in, changing not only the temperature but also the schedule without the other people knowing about it.
Your wife must really must drive her up the wall.
Loads of it. I might just do it now.
Oh,
Just mess with
that's not on. This is
32. Yes, 32. That's right.
This is what George Orwell
That's
was
right.
talking about.
32.
This is what George Orwell was
Put it at
feared
28.
the most.
Put it at 28. I know you did. Because on Thursdays, slightly hotter in the morning.
Ridiculous. Okay, look, it's already gone on 2 minutes. I don't know if this is...
Welcome to Davos.
No, it's not a Doctor Who going. It is a quorum of concerned countries coming together, talking loud and saying, keynote speaker is Donald Trump. Fact-checking his speech.
Okay, everyone, what a beautiful day it is in Davos.
This is true. Weather is 19 degrees Celsius, no cloud.
We, the Americans, have the cleanest air and water in the world. Better than China. Better than China.
The United States came 10th in the cleanest air and water table in 2019.
The United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen.
In fact, under the Obama administration, there were a 0.5 higher GDP growth.
10 million people have been lifted off welfare in less than 3 years.
True, but mostly due to them dying or the government lower limit of poverty being redefined.
Okay, smartass, get your buzzer ready. Matt Everett, the horse guy, okay? He is the greatest drummer, the greatest humanitarian, and the greatest music news presenter of all time. With a face like a parka pen. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to eat my steak now.
I like it quite pink. That was very impressive.
I'm exhausted now.
I mean,
A bit of theatre of the
there
mind,
was,
that.
exactly, yeah. You were inhibiting the different characters there with aplomb.
2 different people.
It's very good.
I'm never going to get an award for it, you know.
I don't know why.
Have you got any music?
Yes, on BC Camp, like the Oscars, on Queen and Stuart Copeland.
Brilliant.
just too lazy. It is purely fantasy and it takes off quick. Everyone joins in, and it is condemned. It is a sin. It is a sin.
Some way of seeing them perform somewhere soon as part of a wider bill of artists performing at an event for a well-loved digital radio station.
God, that was a heavy way in, wasn't it?
What are you talking about?
Awful. Awful. You're right, though. I can't fault your actual facts because, of course, they are playing Friday the 6th of March at the Roundhouse with Brittany Howard and Michael Kiwanuka. Black Midi at the Six Music Festival. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. Go to the Six Music website for the full list of runners and riders and also how you can get your tickets, and we hope to see you down the front. Sean, are you familiar with a grow egg? I am very much in the orange range. My husband doesn't believe it's cold until the egg and I have both turned blue warmly. He is out, says B. We've got one in the house for the lit list. It's just another useless thing, really. You could just use your body to tell you if you're cold or not, instead of spending 45 quid on a thing that glows orange and tells you, or glows red and tells you that you're hot. It's like, what a waste of money. But there you go. It's time for the music news, Matt.
Okay, let's start a slightly unexpected story. The Royal Mint is issuing a new coin depicting a British band. This is the first time it's ever happened. So, on the one side of this new £5 coin, £5 coin. £5 coin. It's a special issue from the Royal Mint. There's Queen Elizabeth, and on the other side is Queen, or at least a representation of them. So the coin features the band's logo and instruments played by all four of the members. So there's the grand piano, the Bechstein grand piano. Freddie played with Bohemian Rhapsody. Brian May's red special guitar. Roy Taylor's drum kit, and John Deacon's Fender bass guitar. Not their faces, just their instruments. Also, there's a kind of nice tribute to Bohemian Rhapsody because the notes pressed down on the keyboard on the coin are the first notes pressed on Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's available. It's a commemorative coin. It's available in like gold and silver versions. It costs from like £13 for a £5 coin.
I know, it always does my head.
So it's a little bit like, yeah, or
collectible.
There's like a collectible version of like, there's like a solid gold sort of proof that's like 2,000 quid for a £5 coin.
I've got a special pound coin in my pocket if you want to buy it for 11 quid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's special.
Is it very special?
Yeah. I'll say it to you later.
Has it got what? Why is it special?
It's because it's got like a special bevel edge on it. It's very collectible, so I'll sell you that.
Well, Brian May's talking. I'll see if I can get the money together.
All right, okay.
This is a who would have thought it moment. Here we have a coin of the realm, a £5 coin, in fact, made by the Royal Mint, the customary fashion. On one side, we have the Queen. On the other side, we have Queen. Now, this never happened before. They will be coming out at your service, ready to be purchased in various forms. I think they will be part of a series in the future. But here we have the very first Queen and Queen coin.
How much? That's 3 quid?
11 quid it is. Yeah.
I've got £10.49.
Oh, that'll do.
Brilliant. Check it over.
It's just very special.
Right.
It's got like an orange bit on it.
Yeah, that looks.
nose is missing.
Is that Dipex on it? Right. Yeah, anyway, that coin is the first release in the Royal Mint's upcoming Music Legends series.
Don't even
What?
think about it.
I'm just saying.
It is not going to happen for
It
you.
could do. They've got to, look, surely it should be, the way they should work it is, have a whole set of money, and like, so maybe like the £50 note is the Beatles,
Yes.
20 quid Radiohead,
Yeah, okay.
whatever,
Yeah,
going
yeah,
all
yeah.
the way down to men's wear for the 1p coin. Just saying.
Yeah. Okay, that would work.
It reflects it. Next up, we've recently spoke about the Icelandic musician Hilda Gudnadottir. She is in the news for her soundtrack work, as in January she became the first female solo Golden Globe winner ever. This was for her original score for Joker. In fact, she's the first female Golden Globe winner in the score category since the introduction of the category in 1947. She also got a BAFTA nomination for Joker as well, won an Emmy in September for the score she did for Chernobyl, the HBO Sky series, and she's been nominated for a Grammy for the same series, and she's got an Oscar nomination for the Joker score as well. She's only the 5th female composer to be nominated in the original score category for the Oscar in 92 years. Yeah, and she's been using this exposure as a platform to talk about not only her work, but also what she hopes is a sea change in the way that women are regarded in the film industry.
There's been a lot of discussion the last years about the position of women and yeah, I guess, you know, the film industry, the music industry, and just in general, like, you know, where are the women? You know, people have been kind of asking those questions for a while, and those voices have become a little bit louder in the last years, and I guess, you know, there was definitely a big awakening after you know, the Me Too discussions and everything that happened around that. I mean, not just because of directly what happened during Me Too, but you know, there was also a lot of focus on just the position of women in the industry and where they are, and you know, where they stand and how they're and if they are at all if there are many women doing music, or you know, why they're not getting the same chances as men.
She's pretty cool. I'd like her to win the Oscar. As we said, we think John Williams might get it.
Yeah,
Star
well,
Wars,
it's
but,
almost
you
like
know,
a sort of lifetime achievement or something.
good luck.
Good looking.
And finally, news on BC Caplight, the American singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist, also known as Brian Cristinzino. First of all, he's about to head out on a 5-day UK tour. This is part of Independent Venue Week, and he's announced details of an autumn UK headlining tour in November. He's playing the Shepherd's Bush Empire, his biggest ever show, and there's a new album on the way called Shortly After Takeoff, which is coming out on the 24th of April. He's a pretty amazing artist, always been writes deeply personal songs, and this album is no different. It was inspired by some pretty serious events in his life, including the death of his father. But also he covers a lot of the subjects of the songs are about his ongoing battles with mental health, something he's always been very, very honest about in a very straightforward way. He actually describes his record as an examination of madness and loss. I hope it starts a long overdue conversation. I spoke to him yesterday about just that.
Couldn't tell if that was going to be appealing to people or not. Hey, come listen to my record. It's about people dying and losing their mind. I don't know if people are going to be into that, but it's the truth, and it's where I was when I made it. I lost my dad last year, and I'm already probably not dealing with a full deck, but that certainly pulled a few cards out as well. Yeah, and I was certainly aware of a lot of what the reaction would be to presenting a record like this. I was terrified of having this angle with previous records. I mean, I've always struggled with pretty serious mental illness problems, and a couple times that it's come up, it's sort of everyone wants to go to this Brian Wilson comparisons of madness and sort of glorifying things, making it sound cool. And one way I've tried to counteract that is just be so open about it that nobody's ever going to confuse me with Sid Barrett. I'm talking about really specific mental health problems a lot. You know, whenever I have a chance to be on the radio, I like to be as open as I can about it because it's my life. It's not something I can hide, certainly not in my music either. And if somebody buys the record and thinks, oh man, this guy's just using this as a tool to get me to buy this, then well, why he bought it, so then all I care about.
That's also a very good point.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant way of looking at things, really, isn't it?
He's dude. The record sounds fantastic, and yeah, as I say, he's just about to head out on these independent venue intakes. We're going to hear some more from the interview because he is fascinating and funny and just brilliant. And the first track from the record we just talked about is called "Back to Work," and we have it for you right now.
We do.
vital for bands and for music fans. It's in these pubs, clubs and venues where the stories start.
Steve Lamack.
Next week, as part of Independent Venue Week, we're travelling the country, stopping off in Newcastle, Sheffield, Cardiff, Exeter and London.
The Six Music Homecoming Tour.
And several of Six Music's favourite artists are getting involved.
Nadine Shah, Self-Esteem, Griff Rees, Frank Turner and Anna Calvi.
We're taking them back to the venues that were pivotal for them as they were starting out.
The Six Music Homecoming Tour at Independent Venue Week.
On Monday afternoon, we'll be at the Clooney in Newcastle with live music and a chat with Nadine Shah.
With Steve Lamack.
Listen every afternoon from 4.
Says it's Craig's birthday in our design office today. Please can we have a birthday shout out? She's putting in inverted commas. Brackets onions. for him, as we all love it when Onions gets played on the radio. You can have an onion.
Onions?
That's no skin off my nose.
No skin off your onion.
No skin off my onion. We've done onions. We exhaustively discussed how best to cut them a couple of weeks ago. I'm not going back down there again. That cul-de-sac, that culinary cul-de-sac. Hi Sean, I'm a 5-year-old son Lenny from Leicester. Beyond your alliterative listener alphabet, he loves that he comes in from school every day to the Rocky theme for circadian rhythms, says Jem. Oh, that's nice. Lenny from Leicester's on the spreadsheet. Coming up, parts 2 and 3 of the show, the 4th to the 6th. We've got circadian rhythms, we've got small claims court, but mostly it's going to be talk about optimum temperatures and the alliterative listener list to take us up to 2. Kate Tempest with Don't Fall In.
We came from the four corners, we are the raw waters, the cause, the 4 horsemen will drink from the water, the pores, we carry the river, the reservoir, the residue, rising waves, sea spray, the inevitable churn and crush, many voices in our vapors, we surge and gush, we will steam in a distant heat, we move rapid over landscape, gathering speed, desert land, city, forest and beach, heading for the people asleep, ready to bleed, unleash the torrents, come clean, carry many lessons, let the water teach, but you better learn to swim or you'll get caught beneath. Hard rain falling on all the half-hearted, half-formed, fast-walking, half-fury, half-boredom, hard-talking, half-dead from exhaustion, hard-pushed, but the puddles keep forming, don't fall in. Some saw us in their tea leaves, some felt us in their knees, most left it to the weathermen to tell them there was nothing to see. You can play dumb and ignore for so long, but we've been in the mountains getting strong. We've seen you filling up the sky with your fumes, sitting in your rooms like you're all that ever lived. Heads down to the lives of the others in your towns, running from the rains like you've never been kissed. Look, leave your possessions and funds, tell your friends that you've gone to make peace with the things you never done. Come, dance in the deluge, spill like the flood. The weather vane swings, things will never change. Single their money men who close their eyes and pretend that this rumble must be low playing. So strange. Hard rain falling on all the half-hearted, half-formed, fast-walking, half-fury, half-boredom, hard-talking, half-dead from exhaustion, hard-pushed, but the puddles keep forming, don't fall in. And they will run to the highest hill, consult the old books, ask the dead mystics for wisdom they don't trust. The people will flock to the garages, stockpile canisters of gasoline, and fish and bandages, count the seconds between the thunder and the lightning, scared of every other body running round frightened. We can't carry on like this, you will mock us, staring with disgust at the people weeping in the gutter. Yet we made no trouble, we played by the rules. I worked double shift to get my kids through school, but you were so focused on your own little part, you went plumbing on blind in the dark, no heart. Now we're not the dread storm that will end things. We're just your playful gale force friend in these end times. Come to remind you, you're not an island. Life is much broader than borders, but who can afford to think over the walls of this fortress? Of course, it's important to provide roof and floorboards for you and yours, and be secure in your fortunes. But you're more than the 3 or 4 you go to war for. You're part of a people that need your support, and whose world is it if it belongs to these corporates? The people are left on the doorstep, nauseous and tortured by all that they lost. Hard rain falling on all the half-hearted, half-formed, fast-walking, half-fury, half-boredom, hard-talking, half-dead from exhaustion, hard-pushed, but the puddles keep forming, don't fall in.
Is it safe? Is it safe?
No. Those were the days. What were the days? 64146. Don't answer that. That's the wonderful new one from John Hopkins and Kelly Lee Owens, a collaborative single, Luminous Spaces, out now on Domino Records, and George Clinton's Atomic Dog before that. Of course it was. Time is... That hours sort of went quickly and slowly at the same time. I don't know how. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just me again. Let's just get a few of these on the spreadsheet. Listening from New York, where I live, says Nick. Do I get on the spreadsheet twice for coming from Norwich originally? Nick from New York and Norwich. We've got a Nick from Newcastle. Hugo in Helsinki. From Huddersfield here, he says. Beth from Bath, who works in Bristol. This is a good one. It's Basil in Blackburton here, and I'm bloody bonkers I am. I'm only kidding, I'm a bit boring. Will Watson's in Walmer. So what we'll do is, at the end of the programme, we'll collate, we'll get the spreadsheet together and we'll work out which letters we haven't covered. I mean, X is going to be very difficult. We might have to strike that from the record. Xavier or Xanthi from But Where? Yes, it's going to have to be a Chinese connection. So, temperatures, optimum temperatures is being covered extensively here and nowhere else on National Radio. Nick in Boxted, I like the thermostat set to 15 or 16, that's too cold even for me. My wife Jenny often asks if the heating is actually on and is ready to reach for a blanket if she feels she needs it. I think it'd been, to be honest, Nick, I think it's an unprecedented amount of Nicks in contact today as well, for some reason. Both male and female. Nick, I think 15, I hope you don't mind me saying putting the cat amongst the bitches here, but I think that's too low. But if that's the way you feel it's comfortable, then where do we go with that? Where do we go with it? Would you like some mini elephant news? Obviously, you're going to say yes. There's no question about that. You know, I've just got an elephant sound effect somewhere, so I've got to make sure I deploy that. I don't very often get the chance. Mini elephants, the size of small donkeys, roamed Mediterranean islands 800,000 years ago. A fossil study has found. No mini elephants, size donkeys. That's it, really. That's the end of the story. But apparently, this is something, I don't know if you've heard about this. Kim Kardashian and her little sister Kylie Jenner. Apparently, I don't know how true this is, sinking $200 million to research and development to genetically clone and splice elephant DNA with Chihuahua DNA to make a pet elephant that can fit into a handbag. Sort of Jurassic Park, you know, situation. So, if they are successful, that's going to be a big thing for 2025. The handbag elephant. So that's that. Why don't we play some Blue Nile, not from the Hats album, from the album after that. This is the wonderful Happiness.
Jesus, will it last?
Tell me, Jesus, will it
Isn't that utterly gorgeous? Just what you need, isn't it? The voice of Paul Buchanan from the piece at last album. That is happiness. Ah, lovely. 17 minutes past 2. I was so engrossed in that I've not put my small claims court bits and bobs in. Oh, no wonder we don't get an award, is it? It's an absolute shambles. And the award for biggest shambles on the radio, they don't do that, unfortunately. Biggest shambles on the radio for the 19th year running. It's Sean Keaveney. No, they don't do it. Small. You know, the best feature on the radio award for alliterative listeners goes to Sean Keaveney. It's not going to happen. You're living in a dream world, mate. Claims court. It's time for small claims court. If you've ever had a brush with fame, you want to hear about it in the small claims court. Perhaps you saw Jeff Bezos nicking 10p out of one of those tip trays in a coffee shop. Oh yeah! It's the kind of story I like to hear in the small claims court with this famous acclaim. They'll probably sue me now. The witness stand today is Peter. Are you there, Peter? Oh, I put the wrong one up. It's shambles again. Are you there, Peter?
I am.
Oh, thank God. Peter Pritchard at Alliterative.
Indeed, yes.
It's all happening, isn't it?
It is.
What's your claim to fame, Peter?
In the late 90s, while playing a gig in London, I spilled a beer over Rod Stewart.
Small Claims Court spilled a beer over Rod Stewart special. You think I'm sexy now?
ça va faire un malheur. better go. I better go.
Your bobs, your any of the business is coming in thick, it's coming in fast, but after this, some Jimmy Cliff.
It was a sort of rebellion, you know. I grew up sharing a room with my brother who was into Deep Purple and Lou Reed and David Bowie, so that was on all the time. And I suppose my way of trying to do something different and annoying was to put on Sibelius, Beethoven and Shostakovich.
This is Sound and Vision, the show that takes film and music and puts them together like the end of a beautiful rom-com. With Miranda Sawyer. My first guest in this new series is award-winning writer and director Armando Iannucci.
The least original film music I find is the music that illustrates precisely what's going on the screen. And I don't want that. I want something that is like another voice or another character in the film.
Sound and Vision with Armando Iannucci. This Sunday afternoon from 1.
To let you know that I'm 10 minutes behind you on BBC Sound. If it feels wrong, I'm just checking this is okay by you. If not, I completely understand and will hit live as soon as I get your reply. So that's Daniel is contacting us from the past. I'm fine with it, absolutely fine with it. No problems at all. Let us, if you're listening in the past, be sure not to let us know. To take us up to the news though, some new music from Kay Trinada featuring Charlotte Day Wilson from the second album Bubba, which was released in December. This is What You Need. thoughts, you know. I am a relatively intelligent person. Sometimes I come up with things myself.
You read that in a magazine, did you?
Anyway, again, there's just more things you don't need to know about the little arguments we have off here. Kate Trinada and Charlotte Day Wilson, What You Need, is the second half of the programme, which is upcoming. Circadian Rhythms and Parameter will be set imminently. But now it is basically coming up on 2:30. It is time for the news with Catherine.
Six Music.
This is BBC Radio
6 Music.
Sean, thank you. The Chinese authorities have introduced unprecedented restrictions to try to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, which has so far killed 17 people. In the city at the centre of the outbreak, Wuhan, all public transport's been suspended and people without face masks are banned from public spaces. Gordon Galliers from the World Health Organization.
There has been no guidance for any travel or trade restrictions, so the lockdown is in excess of the current guidance that WHO is providing, and therefore the lockdown of 11 million people is unprecedented in public health history.
Here, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, said the NHS was ready to respond appropriately to any cases of the virus that emerge in the UK. German officials are reported to have formally recommended granting the Chinese firm Huawei... government officials are reported to have formally recommended granting the Chinese firm Huawei a limited role in developing the UK's 5G network. The US opposes the move on security grounds. Downing Street says work on the issue